What is up, everybody? We are back here for another episode of the Red Glare Podcast. I'm your host, Alec Miller. You can find me on Twitter at AlecMiller0423, and I'm joined as always by my main man, Paul. What's up, man?
What's happening, people? You could catch me on Twitter at Podcast Paul. Yeah, man, we got a lot to get into. Some, of course, Rockets. We'll talk a little bit of NFL playoffs as well, and yeah, we want to also show some love to the Texans and talk a bit about Coach Cully, or former Coach Cully, as I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah, and let's actually, start there real quick because I know I'm more of the football fan, the Texans fan than you are. So I kind of been following the Texans very, very closely, and this job was one of the hardest jobs I think to fill because we have the Deshaun Watson stuff, which we talked about last year. Really, it was kind of like, what did the Texans have to offer any
Right.
teams? And I feel like with this past year with David Culley, I think Culley has really kind of made this team where he's kind of like calmed everything down. Like, we don't seem like we're as dire as we were last year. Like last year, I was expecting us to only win like 3 games, at most 5. We ended up winning. We ended up winning 4 or 5. I can't remember. But in a lot of those games, we looked really good. Like, they found a really quality quarterback. Sorry, a quality quarterback in Davis Mills in the 3rd round. That was our first pick. So obviously, the coach that came in had no first rounders, no second rounders, and a 3rd rounder. Luckily, they were able to trade back up into the 3rd and take a receiver, Nico Collins. And so that's why it was so hard to solve that. This year is much different. We have a first-round pick. We have the possibility of trading Deshaun Watson. I think that seems even more likely now. He is starting to get closer to seeing a grand jury and being brought up on charges to find out are these charges legit, or are they overblown or whatever. I believe that they are legit, so I'm not expecting him to be able to get traded, which really sucks for us. But it is what it is. So it seemed like David Collier kind of like brought everything down to like it's normal. It feels okay. Like we don't feel like we're failing right now. And then all of a sudden, and Black Monday comes, right? Black Monday, which is the Monday right after the very last week of the NFL season, is when most of the coaches get fired, and 6 coaches that day got fired. And I thought, hey, we're good. We don't have to. It seems like they decided to stay with David Culley. Then we got the report in the middle of the week that Nick Caserio, our GM, was looking back and evaluating David Culley's performance. And then Thursday, we find out he's been fired. So back to me is back to the drawing table. And I hate when we're looking for a coach. But last year I hated more when we were looking for a coach and a quarterback. And at least this year with Davis Mills, even though I don't think he's the answer at quarterback, he's definitely not. I think he's a nice little find that we found. Like he makes it so that the Texans don't have to reach for a quarterback in the 1st round, in the 2nd round. They can kind of wait to get their guy, and that's because he's come in. He's played very well, especially in the last part of the season. The first season he was kind of thrown out there because Tyrod Taylor got hurt, kind of thrown out there, and I was like, I can't even tell if this kid is like good or bad because he's clearly in over his head right now. He wasn't expected to play this early. And then Tyrod Taylor came back, got hurt, or played really badly, and they decided, we're going to go with Davis Mills for the rest of the season. And for that back half of the season, he looked good, man. I think he outplayed Mac Jones. He's the reason Mac Jones will not be winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, because he outplayed Mac Jones at the end of the year. Mac Jones started to fall off, and Davis Mills, played a lot better. Jamar Chase should really be thanking Davis Mills because he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But yeah, at least we're not looking for a quarterback. We just have to find a coach, and hopefully it's somebody. I trust Nick Caserio. I think he's hit every single pick that he's had in this past year. Every single draft pick he's got through the 3rd on has really been a solid pick. There haven't been any busts. Anybody that doesn't seem like they can have a long career in the NFL. So I trust what he's doing. Word is Brian Flores might be the guy. They have a working relationship because they're both New England guys. They're both Belichick guys. So there is that. What do you think about the way? Them firing David Culley, and would you want to see Brian Flores? And then I'll have one more thing I want to say on this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Coley thing was kind of confusing, like since it started. That was obviously like not like last year. We're all like, is it Eric Bieniemy? Like, we're talking all these like sexy coaching names or up and comers. And so when they hired Coach Coley, it was like a bit unexpected. And I mean, personally, like I wasn't a fan of it when it happened. But over the course of the year, like I think just as a person, like he was very much a stand-up person, and I think he did hold this team together a lot, man. To be honest, so he very much exceeded my expectations. I'm not as far as managing, the franchise. Like I definitely thought he was going to have another year. I saw something that basically said that Coach Culley. The Texans owe David Culley another $17 million over the next 3 years, so he's walking away with $22 million for one season. And at the guy 67, that's not bad at all. So I'm sure he's not tripping about it financially, but I kind of wonder like why if the Texans kind of knew this was a 1 year, or if they were kind of setting this gap for failure in just like this 1 year window, then why did we like offer a 3-year contract? And just something about that is weird that they went the other way. But what does make sense to me is maybe they did know Brian Flores was getting let go, and maybe that's who they want as their coach, and that's why they told Coach Culley, look, we're letting you go. We got our guy. As far as Coach Flores, I was more shocked about the Dolphins firing Coach Flores, to be honest. Like when that news broke, I just didn't expect that at all, man. Like I thought he was doing a good job over there. Like Dolphins had some great games this year, and they've been competitive. I think he was 4-2 against New England. So yeah, man, that I don't know why they let that guy go. I'm sure we'll find out more truth as this goes. But yeah, I think Brian Flores would be an upgraded coach for sure.
All right, so I can actually comment on the Brian Flores thing because my brother-in-law is a huge Dolphins fan. Okay. He listens to the local sports guys over there every day, so he's locked in on the Dolphins as a team. And he told me, this is a conversation we had Sunday. He told me that according to the guy who he follows, who's like a Miami Dolphins legend in the in the journalism game, that he has been, talking to guys up front and saying, and for the entire season, they have said that they don't like Brian Flores because Brian Flores is very much trying to take control of everything. And if it's not his way, it's the highway kind of thing, to the point where he's starting to lose the locker room. Players are starting to turn on him, and he lost Tua. And I think that was the final nail in the coffin. At first, he had already lost Xavier Howard. Like Xavier Howard didn't want to play there anymore, and that was like brand new. And I've heard that it was possibly because of Brian Flores, him and Brian getting into it. But another thing was Tua. Like Tua, according to everybody over there, Brian Flores never wanted Tua, which is odd because he was drafted the year after he came in, I believe. So it's like it was very weird that he basically didn't have any say in the quarterback. So he gets a quarterback he doesn't like. And this is a guy, and Tua's a guy who got along with Nick Saban. Like Nick Saban is known for being a colder guy, like a Belichick type. And if you got that guy saying that he doesn't like you, I feel like he's probably doing something wrong. He always wants to have full control of everything. And finally, I think the Dolphins guys just said no. That's enough. If you also look at even though they went on a big winning streak, if you look at their win streak, if they would have gotten the 7th seed, I think the exact same thing would have happened to them that happened to Pittsburgh and Philly. I think they would have got blown out.
Yeah.
So
and for what it's worth, they did do worse than last year, right? Because last year they were 10-6, and this year they were 9-8. So
yeah, man. So apparently there's issues with him in the front office. That he's just kind of he walks around like he owns the place. He walks around like his shit don't stink, and kind of rubbed a lot of people in the front office the wrong way. Now, and that's why I kind of have like reservations about signing him. However, him and Caserio do have a working relationship, and if Caserio, gives him the ability to, if it seemed like the problem was Tua, he didn't like Tua, he didn't want him. So when you kind of force a coach when you force a coach to do that, that affects everything. That can really affect how he coaches, because his first rookie season, they had a season where it was kind of middling, but they played out of their minds. And that's why he became one of my favorite coaches, because I feel like he really rallied that team. There are parts of that season, that first season, where it seemed like they were like the Dolphins were in tank mode, and Brian Flores didn't let them go into tank mode. He said, "No, we're going to play," and I think he was changing the culture. It just seems like it was that Tua pick that really affected the end of his time there. So if Nick Caserio lets him come in here and pick his quarterback that he wants to play, that he wants to get, whether it be Davis Mills or one of these guys in the draft, or letting him know, hey, next year we're probably going to have another high pick. Bryce Young is coming in. Do you want Bryce Young? Type of things like that. However, if you bring in Brian Flores, you have to realize you're probably not going to get that number one pick, because that first year that he was hired, they were projected to get the first pick. And I think they ended up getting the 5th or the 6th pick. They played much better than they were supposed to. So if he comes in, he might rally this team, and we might not get Bryce Young, because Bryce Young is going number one no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. I'm glad you shared that, what you had heard about him, because, a lot of times, coaches in other markets, it kind of looks like, well, not that they're gyms, but they seem interesting, oh, this guy could be a good fit. But shout out to that. And go ahead.
Yeah. And one more thing about Cully. So the reason first of all, I don't like firing coaches after 1 year. It's like my pet peeve, no matter what team it is. The biggest one to me was Todd Bowles. Do you remember Todd Bowles? Mm-hmm. For the New York Jets? Got 1 year with the New York Jets. And they completely let him go. And I was like, it's just one of those things where you're just I don't understand why. And it's always, I'm not trying to make this a race thing, but it's always the black coach. It's always the black coach that has 1 year, has a tighter leash. And I'm not trying to make this a race thing or at all, but it's something that I feel like has to be commented on. I don't believe that's the reason why Cully was fired. I do think it was because Caserio got word that Flores is leaving. And so that's where that led to that. I think that is a completely completely possible scenario, because if it was a black thing, why would they go right back to another black coach? So and I think Houston, we're at least trying to be better than I think some of the other teams. But firing Brian Flores is crazy. We only have one black coach in the NFL right now, which is only Mike Tomlin. And that just sucks. And David Culley was one of them that I didn't think deserved to get fired. I understand why. Reports are that he just was kind of in over his head. He also has keep in mind that he's always been a position coach. He never had any coordinating experience, and a lot of times that's required of head coaches, because the head coach is kind of you got to get your hands into both sides of the ball,
and management too.
Yeah, and all that stuff. You have to have a much more responsibility, and the coordinator is kind of that next step, that step below getting a head coaching job. So it was, a little odd. But the reason why I don't like it is because it's not like you didn't know that when you hired him. So it comes down to what was the reason for hiring him if you were just going to let him go in a season? If all you were doing was waiting for Brian Flores, then once he's hired, that'll make a lot more sense. But I haven't heard any more traction behind the Brian Flores thing. I just know he's already had an interview. So, we'll see there. But if it was just because you didn't like what he did with the team, why not give him 1 more year? Get at least get what you can out of that contract. He's getting a lot of money, and he's going to be sitting at home. Good on him. But it doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make team building sense. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think no, I'm in agreement with you actually on Coley, which is like I said, when he first was hired, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, it was weird.
But now that the season played out, I didn't exactly want him to leave, because he exceeded my expectation. I honestly thought the Texans would win somewhere between 0 and 2 games
Yeah.
this year, to be honest.
A lot of people did, man. A lot of people
Yeah.
did.
And for this guy to come in and win 4, I mean, bro, like I hate to say it, but like if the Texans hire a new coach and that coach can't win 4 games next year,
It looks bad.
Yeah, it looks very bad. It's just like, what are we doing, man? Like this,
and then we become the Jaguars, and then we become
yeah,
the what is it called? The Detroit Lions, But the Detroit Lions found their guy. I mean, they got Dan Campbell. I like him.
Yeah. Think what you want about him, but they're a united locker room right now. So.
Yeah. And then one more thing, I'll throw out a name besides Brian Flores that did get brought up. I'll bring up 2. I'll bring up one NFL legend, and I'll bring up one Texans legend. The NFL legend, to get it out the way, because I don't even want to talk about it. They interviewed Hines Ward, former Pittsburgh Steelers receiver. I know you love him, and they're bringing him in. I don't like it because I think he was only a wide receivers coach, or maybe he hasn't even coached. I don't remember, but I don't want that to happen. I don't know if you would want that to happen. What do you think?
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, Hines Ward was a hell of a player. Like, he has some of that toughness and swagger. Like, kind of like how like Dion is now for FAU. Like, that's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, man. It's to me like it seems too risky to hire yet another unproven coach. Like, because then I think you can end up in that scenario where you're winning like less than 4 games again.
Yeah.
And then at that point it just becomes dicey. So, yeah, man, like I like Hines Ward, but I'd much rather see him like as a coach, as an assistant coach first, and prove himself for a couple years before like handing him over the keys.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe like if they're planning on bringing him as a as a like receivers coach or something, some kind of position coach, I'd be okay with it. I don't even know if I really want him as an offensive coordinator because, like I said, I didn't even if he is coaching, I didn't even know. So I want to find somebody because we do need an offensive coordinator. We did fire Tim Kelly, thank God. So now the Texans legend, and this one I am excited about. San Francisco 49ers, I believe, is linebacker coach DeMeco Ryans, Houston Texans legend. I'm okay with that one. I don't know. I like the idea of giving him a chance. He is a Houston legend. I would still probably take Brian Flores over him. But I mean, if we miss out on Brian Flores, I don't see why you don't bring him in for another interview.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's exciting, and at some point, like the Texans have enough history. Like it hasn't all been great history, but the Texans have enough history where they've had great players in the past who are still involved in the game. And like, I'm a big fan of teams, franchises, whatever. I'm a big fan of them bringing back former players that know what like the good times were or the good culture was, right? And I just feel like he was one of those people, man. Same with Andre. I mean, even as much as people didn't like him at the time, but Matt Schaub, right? Like he was part of those years too. So yeah, bro. Like I liked that idea just because of the I don't want to say sentimental value. I just want to say the culture fit. Like I think that's an appealing culture fit.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely more open to that one.
Yeah, that's a coach that the entire city of Houston I think would get behind. Even though he would be an unproven commodity, I think he's only had 1 year as the D coordinator over there in San Francisco after they lost Robert Saleh. So I think that would be one if like I said, if you can't get DeMeco, that's one that would really I think unite the city around this team because right now the team I think it was funny. It was like after the regular season when Davis Mills started playing a little better and we were kind of surprised. We even almost beat the Titans in our last game. Like I think the team was really like there's things to look forward to, and then like within a couple of days it was back to oh man, like dark days ahead. But word also is I think right away as soon as David Culley was fired, the announcement the report was right now the plan is Brian Flores and Pep Hamilton, who was our QB coach, who's been teaching Davis Mills to take over as offensive coordinator. And that is one that I also would be okay with. I think he's developed Davis Mills incredibly well. So,
Yeah,
there's that.
I mean,
But,
Davis Mills like first playing time to how we ended the season was like crazy
night and
trajectory,
day.
man.
It's night and
But
day.
like the first time he played, bro, like I was legit thinking like, dude, it's over. Like I was
Yeah.
seeing the whole season crumble before me, and then yeah, man, his last games were actually pretty decent. I mean,
Yeah.
if we had other decent tools on the roster, I mean, we might have even had a better result. So
Yeah, and I think Brandon Cooks got hurt in that last game. So if Brandon Cooks didn't get hurt in the last game, we might have upset
yeah,
the Titans again and just close out the series against them. But all right, man, let's go ahead and head to our next topic, Rockets. But before we do, Alexis, man, what's up? Thank you for joining again. We appreciate it, man. Make sure to drop a comment if you have any thoughts on anything that we're discussing at all. Just let us just drop it down. We'll read it out. All right, man. Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets had a good second week of 2022.
yeah,
We went two and 1. So that's always nice. We did lose. So we Wednesday night. Let's go ahead and go game by game. Wednesday, Rockets Spurs. This was one, man. I think that we just kind of were able to play a little bit of bully ball in the beginning. Kind of looked a little better. We looked better in that first quarter. I love seeing that 39 in the first quarter. Second quarter, only 24. That's okay. That's when the Spurs took over. And at halftime, I did think, hey, we might end up losing this game. This is gonna suck if we lose to the San Antonio Spurs. But then a really great fourth quarter. 37 points in the fourth quarter. I got the point totals right here. Eric Gordon, raising that draft stock. He had 31 points in 32 minutes. And then you had right behind him Christian Wood with 23 points, 11 rebounds. And KPJ, the man that we said couldn't break double-digit points for all of last week, was able to get I think it was 18. Yeah, 18 points. So good on there. Maybe he heard us. Maybe we motivated him. But
hopefully,
yeah, man. What you think of this first? Yeah, obviously. He watches the replay though. He can't join live.
Yeah, he can't join live. No, man, like I'm happy we got the win, and kind of like you said, as I was like watching it back because I didn't watch it live, but luckily one of my homies gave me access to his Fubo. So if you're watching, I appreciate it. But yeah, as I was watching it back, like nobody really stood out from the Rockets side. You know what I mean? Like nobody kind of really took that game over. It very much was like team basketball, moving the ball, driving and kicking it. And yeah, they were just able to execute that like over 48 minutes. Like in that game, I feel like Dejounte Murray kind of had the hot hand at the end, but like luckily we had a big enough like lead to kind of keep that at bay.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, yeah, like it wasn't the prettiest game either. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like a lot of finesse plays, just kind of just scoring and playing defense, man. Like it's kind of what happens when you play the Spurs, I guess, because that's kind of their style of basketball.
Yeah.
But also there were some Rockets fans in the building, so I want to shout out to all the people who were there. I could hear them, you know, in the telecast as well. But yeah, man, just overall, just happy to get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with those games where Eric Gordon's the leader in points, that's basically what it is, just kind of team basketball. And then he's able to help these guys get to a tough win, you know, kind of grind it out. So happy to see that too, man. Next up, we had the game against the Sacramento Kings, one of two games against the Sacramento Kings. We had the first one was a loss Friday night. This one I wasn't able to catch. But so we lost 126-114, 12 points. And, you know, and it looks like it was a promising first quarter because we put up 40 in the first quarter. What a first quarter. Yeah. And then, but a 25-point fourth quarter is not going to do it. I got the score. I mean, the scoring right here. Christian Wood led all scorers with 26 points. Right behind him was Jayshawn Tate, 17. Love seeing that name up there. And then KPJ with another double digits. He put up 16 this game. I'm telling you, man, he watches the show. Show. So yeah, man. What'd you think of this game? This game was this one's tough, man, because I feel like De'Aaron Fox is so hard to keep track of with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox. Sorry, he had 27 points, man. He's so good. I think he's like severely underrated. I think we had talked about before if we can get like a
trade for him.
Yeah, for De'Aaron Fox, I'd be really happy about that.
Oh, bro, fuck yeah.
He's so good, man. Marvin Bagley, 26. Like this Kings team, even though man they're 18 and 27, like they're sneaky. They're sneaky. They've put a number on the Lakers this year. Like they're really good. I think Buddy Hield likes to play against the Lakers. It's funny. He's probably thinking like this is what you could have had. It's like a thing. But for the Rockets, we just don't have a point guard. I don't think any team in the NBA really has a point guard that can slow down De'Aaron Fox. He's not the most skilled guy, and I don't even think he's not superstar level, but he's a guy that he's super quick. He's a great finisher at the basket. Like he's so smooth with it. He is a little undersized, but that's okay. He's able to get away with it. But yeah, I didn't think we had anybody that could slow him down at all. At least in this game, if he's going to put up 27, you're not really going to have a good chance.
Yeah, man. I think you nailed it pretty good. Like, I'm gonna try not to get these two games confused, but from what I remember in the first game, like you said, De'Aaron Fox was just hard to stop, and I think honestly, dude, like I think Christian Wood, he put up points, but I think in these two matchups, like he got beat a lot. Like his and we've kind of known this already. Like his interior defense he's kind of like a step slow against faster players. And I think that's something he has to work on, man, because that first game we kind of got torched. And also Marvin Bagley, like he was outworking a lot of times Kenyon Martin Jr. was on him. And like he was just torching him, bro. Like he's just a little too big and too strong, So I like when I look at the Kings, I kind of see the Rockets in a lot of ways, like not in terms of like roster matchup, but they have like a lot of young guys. Like they have like Harrison Barnes, which is like our Eric Gordon. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
not exactly the same playing style, but like the roster build is kind of similar. They some promising young guys. So yeah, man, like I think it was a good matchup for us. Like I'm pretty happy that we split the series with them. But yeah, from this first one, like all I really remember is we missed a lot of like our guards missed a lot of threes, and yeah, just inside kind of inside the arc we were just kind of getting smoked. Also though, Şengün came back that game. So
yeah, I was about to bring that up. Yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Man, I was super like I have a stat line like 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 9 points. I mean. I love that, bro. In a return of 14 minutes, I love that.
Yeah, man. I think that was a really good, like, positive return for Alperen Şengün. He did post on Instagram the night of that same day. It was like to let everybody know he was back. I love that because you can tell he's got. I don't know, man. He just has this like competitive edge to him that I think goes unnoticed, not talked about. I don't know if you saw. Did you see the video of Alperen Şengün and John Lucas having a 3-point shootout? And John Lucas actually beat Şengün, but I remember tweeting, I guarantee you Alperen's going to try and get his dub back. He's going to try and get win back. Like it's going to be I think he just has that competitive edge, and to see him come in 14 minutes, 9 points, 4 rebounds, like that's a great start for Alperen Şengün. And we talked last week how much we missed him. How much you can kind of see on the court that he was missing. You can feel his presence not being there.
Yeah, like the minutes he did, bro, like he's more like a glue on the defensive end. In the interior, he's more of a glue guy.
Yeah.
Than I think Christian Wood is. Like, Christian Wood has a little bit more like length when he's jumping against defenders, but like Şengün just kind of holds it down a little bit better in my opinion. And yeah, like I noticed that in the first game, and then obviously like the second game, just as much, even though he wasn't really scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and get to the second game. So the second game against the Kings, this is a much better result. We ended up winning 118-112. And look at this. The top scorer for the Houston Rockets is Mr. KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., and Christian Wood. Dude stepped up. I think this was the step up game. This was the game where he took over and put his head down and said, "I'm taking over this game," because he took over late. He held De'Aaron Fox to only 14 points, which is a much better chance. This one, Buddy Hield actually gave up more points. Not Buddy Hield. Jalen Green kind of gave up the points against his guy. Buddy Hield had 27 points against Jalen Green. So that's a name I think we're gonna have to call him out this week. Jalen Green, it's time to step up because this last week it wasn't a horrible week like it was last week for the week before, like KPJ, but last week was definitely not his week. If I want somebody to step up this week, it's going to be Jalen Green for sure. But KPJ game, love to see it. Christian Wood, 23-13, I believe. I don't see Marvin Bagley, so Marvin Bagley didn't play in this game, so that's probably why you see such a big difference in KPJ's points. But not KPJ's, Christian Wood's points. But they were able to have some decent games. They have 6 people in double digits. Davion Mitchell being one of them, their rookie. He's coming along, which is the biggest reason why you're hearing De'Aaron Fox's name in a lot of trades. So, great game for the Rockets, great game for KPJ. Happy to see him kind of step up after last week and show what he can do. I'm hoping to see that coming up this week, and we'll get to this week's game soon. Go ahead and give your thoughts on this game, and we'll get to next week's schedule.
Yeah, man. Overall, I was criticizing C. Wood's defense, but overall this week he played really good. So, not to get those two things confused, he had an awesome week. He definitely asserted himself. I also want to give out a shout out to Deshaun Tate because I think he played excellent ball too, man. He didn't force it this week. He really as he always does, he doesn't force it, but he really made some plays, man, that I thought made a difference. Had some great stat lines as well. 2 assists, 1 block, 4 rebounds. You know what I mean? Just making his presence felt in other ways. But back to the point on Jalen Green, I'm kind of wondering the same. I really want him to get more 3-point looks, man. I think I think we need to test that a bit more. I think he has to be moving off the ball more often.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just Coach Silas's offense is not diversified enough for him, but I just want to see him shoot, man. Some of these stat line 6 for 10, I just want him taking more shots than that, bro. 15 points. I mean, it's cool, but it still felt kind of empty, So I want to see my man get 15 to 20 looks a night, bro. No lag, So
yeah.
But our offense is a lot different than what we're used to, so that could just be the fan in me from the past couple of years, used to everyone taking more than 15 shots. But yeah, man, that's kind of my beef right now with Jalen Green. I want him to step up, but I also feel like he's not getting the looks, and it's kind of leaving it in a weird place. But yeah, we just continue to watch and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that he's gonna have to step up, and he's got a tough couple games coming up. We're gonna go ahead and get to those. Tomorrow night we have the Rockets against the Jazz, man. The Jazz, coming off of a pretty big loss against the Lakers, and just reported a few hours ago, Donovan Mitchell has entered concussion protocol. Seems like he took a big hit. So. And I think this is going to be a big test for Christian Wood. He's going up against the big French 7-footer Rudy Gobert, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Dude's a big guy. What can Christian Wood do? I think Christian Wood's going to have to focus on his outside game in this game. He's going to definitely have to pull Rudy Gobert away from the paint and force him to cover him on the outside. I think Şengün's going to have a tough challenge too. I want to see him go up against Rudy Gobert as well.
Right.
But if Donovan Mitchell is out, I think this is going to be a Jalen Green type game where you're going to have to say, Jalen, you're going to have to step up, man. No Donovan Mitchell. Even if Donovan Mitchell was playing, Donovan Mitchell is on the smaller side. So I think you can take advantage of him. But, if he's not there, there's really no excuse for Jalen Green to not have a great game, even if it's in a loss, even if it's in a bad loss. But at least, get your points, get your reps in, take your shots. So yeah, man, what are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, bro. If Donovan Mitchell is playing, it's an automatic loss. So
yeah,
the fact that he's out, it gives some optimism, but still barely because, because of the matchup you just said, Gobert versus C Wood, like I don't really trust C Wood enough to dominate in matchups like these. Like
Yeah.
I think he'll have one of these games where he's putting up like 15 points. And again, Jalen, like we haven't really seen it proven where he can just step up like when we need him. Like
Mhm.
he's had some great games, but it's not like he like Donovan Mitchell's out. You're the shooting guard of the team. You really have the green light on a night like this. But in the NBA, you kind of got to put up at least 25 to 30, like to push your
Yeah.
team over.
If you're gonna be the guy.
Exactly, man. And that's why I don't know if he has it in him yet. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust him to go on the road to Utah and put up like 25 to 30. I just don't
Yeah.
see it yet. So yeah, man, like this is one I'm probably expecting a loss. Maybe if it was at home, I might pick otherwise, but yeah, unfortunately I don't see it.
Yeah. And if you notice whenever our young guys, Christian Wood, KPJ, or Jalen Green are the lead scorers, a lot of times like 22, 23, 21 points, like it's still kind of close. Whereas like when Eric Gordon led in points earlier this week,
right,
in the game against the Spurs, he had 31. Like he is putting up those 30 points, and he's not gonna be able to do that every night. These young guys are supposed to step up, and I'm wondering if they're struggling with those like when it's their time. Like, are they struggling to put up the points? Are they doing maybe a little too much, not trying to score the basketball? And it's one of those things that we've talked about where someone's not stepping up and like saying, "Give me the ball," And I want to find a player like that. I'm not sure who that is. We'll see in the upcoming draft when we get closer to the year, when we figure out where we're picking at. But yeah, man, I think that we need someone to step up and do that. And is Steven Silas, encouraging that? Is he telling them to keep playing team basketball, which is perfectly fine. But like we said, there are times, especially in close games, where someone's got to step up. Someone's got to shoot the ball. Take control. Granted, James Harden wasn't a take control kind of guy. He was never afraid to take a shot. He was never afraid to have the basketball in his hands, whether he lost or won. So that's something that we've been missing here in Houston.
Bro, and to your point, like Eric Gordon can't be that guy for us. Like even if he is right now, like you're not going to keep EG on the team like long term, right? So like you also can't like have that crutch, and I think that's something they need to think about in the trade deadline. It's like, well, if there's a deal for EG, I think like you have to go for it because there's only one way these guys are going to learn, or you're going to see if these guys are made out of that, and that's by like putting them in the opportunities, So
yeah,
EG won't be here forever. Like he, even if we keep him till the end of the year, he's going to force his way out eventually. He doesn't want to stay on this team. Like I don't blame him. Like everything's changed since like a year ago, and he's like,
it's a much different team. Yeah, it's a much different team.
So yeah, man, I hope they don't lean on him too much for that either.
Yeah, like as long it's okay to see his name at the top of the scoring leaders every once every week. I'm fine with that. But if it starts to become like a constant thing where he's just kind of taking over the game, it is worrisome. I am going to be a little bit worried. It makes me think that, hey man, maybe we haven't found our guy. I think that Jalen Green's going to be a Rocky for a long time, Şengün as well. But maybe we haven't found the guy who can, take control of the game. And KPJ has shown he can do that. That's the thing. KPJ has shown he can do that, and I'm hoping to see him, do that more. It seems like that initial. I mean, it seems like that incident was a one-time thing. Hopefully, it seems like everyone kind of moved on from that. Haven't heard much more from that lately. So hopefully, it's one of those like water under the bridge type things. And things start to look up for the team. Regarding Eric Gordon, possibly leaving, we are asking for a first-round pick for him, which I don't think is too much to ask. Especially for a team that's going to be competing for a while, it's probably like not really much to them. With the reports coming out about Frank Vogel possibly being on a day-to-day thing, and they need shooters, it's another thing. But you also don't want them to get older. There's a lot of things that could happen, but we'll probably be without Eric Gordon for sure. I think this year, maybe Christian Wood, but that's a big maybe. It depends on the deal, but yeah, right now it could be it could be something that happens in the near future. And then our second game of the week, we only have 2 games next week. We have this week we have the Utah Jazz, obviously, and then on Friday we play against the Golden State Warriors, the hot Warriors, man. However, they did have a really bad loss to Milwaukee this past week, a horrible loss to Milwaukee this past week. So they're not invincible, but they are definitely a tough team to beat. This one is going to be interesting. I want to see KPJ and Steph Curry. I want to see Jalen Green and Klay Thompson type thing, but I also want to see if Şengün can kind of get back into the flow. I think by this game I want to see him hit at least 10 points. I don't think that's too much to ask. Hit 10 points against at least against the Warriors. They are a little banged up. I mean, they are a little banged up at the down low. So it is a chance to take advantage of that. Draymond Green has been out. I know James Wiseman's been out. But also I want to get a really close look at Jonathan Kuminga, who has been tossed around as possible trades and trades involving Christian Wood. So, there's that too. What are you looking forward to in this fight? In this game?
Fight, yeah. It feels like it's always been a fight against Warriors.
We hate them.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think, I always have thought EG would be a great fit for the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got Steph, Klay, and Jordan Poole. I was just checking before this. Jordan Poole was their backup shooting guard. He's averaging 17 this year, but obviously
he's nice.
He's been getting all of Klay's time. But they're going to keep him, right? Don't get it confused. He's a great backup for Klay.
Mm-hmm.
And I just always thought, dude, why not throw EG in the mix? EG knows how to play in that style of offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd add a lot of depth for them at guard, right? When Steph or Klay is sitting in the playoffs, you have EG who's experienced. He knows he's also happy being the 6th man, right? So, yeah, bro, how that trade hasn't happened? I mean, I don't know, man. I thought for the past couple years they could use them, but whatever. So yeah, man. In the game, of course, I mean, I'm looking at KPJ and I'm looking at Jalen Green on how they match up with Steph and Klay. If Klay is torching Jalen,
it's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck, bro, because Klay's barely coming back. Don't get me wrong, Klay's well rested. You could even argue he has his full strength, whatever. But still, bro, Jalen, I think Jalen has to battle that game. You know what I mean? I can't. I don't want to see him getting Klay getting more assists, getting more points, getting more rebounds. I don't want to see him getting outworked by Klay, who's barely coming back. So
yeah,
I don't expect them to win this game because you're going against Steph Curry. But bro, I think you said, they have their weaknesses with Draymond out. You got C Wood on Kevon Looney, and you have Şengün coming off the bench. Bro, I think they should actually be really competitive in this game. Honestly, matchup wise, I think they can. So. That's really what I'm expecting, just a competitive game.
Yeah, I want to see some competition, and I want to see those young guys step up. Like I said, don't need to win. This is a season you're gonna hear that a lot from us. Don't need to win. I just want to see some kind of improvement from these guys. But yeah, man, those are the 2 games we have this week. Next week we'll have 3 games coming up, so that'll be fun. But let's go ahead and talk some NFL playoffs before we leave. We're going to be out of here very soon, so just cover what happened. First thing, we had the errant whistle in the Bengals-Raiders game. Raiders came back, but I don't think the score in that one really shows how much better the Bengals were. Right. The Bengals are I've said they're my my dark horse in the game. I don't know if I'll necessarily be picking them, but I'm definitely going to be. I definitely think that they have a chance to be to upset somebody big, possibly this week. With them playing the Titans, but that was that was a good game. It was a really good game, but I think that if they want to win, the offense is gonna have to step up a little bit more. They weren't bad. They were by any stretch of the imagination, but they are going to have to show up against a high-powered offense for Tennessee. They have Derrick Henry back. They have Julio Jones and A.J. Brown both available. So it's one of those things where if you want to compete with them, you're going to have to play some high-powered offense because this Titans defense is not very good. So it's possible that they could blow them up. But that's the first game that there was. The second game was Buffalo destroying the Patriots, showing that, even though people wanted Belichick versus Brady in the Super Bowl, they're a long way from getting back to the Super Bowl. So Buffalo, and I like seeing this game from Josh Allen, from Brian Daboll, because they are playing the Kansas City Chiefs this week, and that's going to be a tough game. That's what they've been preparing for.
Yeah, this is what they asked for, right? Like on the rematch.
They said this team is built entirely to beat the Chiefs, so we'll see that put to the test. Then you had Sunday morning. We had Philly-Tampa. The biggest story coming out of that, because Philly got blown out. The biggest story coming out of that is Tristan Wirfs going down. Their right tackle going down. That's huge for the Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's huge for Tampa Bay. They'll need him. Then we had Dallas, San Francisco, my upset of the week, and I hit.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I wish I would have made this like a parlay, like my predictions. I wish I would have done like a nice little 6-game parlay. I really wonder what it would have been because I had all my picks correct. Just taking money line, I would have hit on all of them. But it is what it is. The way I look at it, it wasn't a crazy take. I think a lot of people had the Cowboys losing to the Niners, and it's because we all know Cowboys are going to do Cowboys things. Yeah. they just are. When it comes down to a big situation, that defense in San Fran is so good. The offense is very mediocre. Well, at least their quarterback is very mediocre.
But you have Shanahan to kind of like compensate.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel, who I think has every NFL team kicking themselves for not taking Deebo Samuel because the dude plays receiver and running back, and I think he was top 10 in yards on both sides of that. I believe he was top 10 in receiving. He was top 10 in rushing. Dude can do it all. Like every team in the NFL right now is looking at him and being like, "What were we doing? What did we miss? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah, bro.
What'd you think about this game, man?
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, bro. Like, even when we were picking the Cowboys, literally in my head, I was like doing a coin flip. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, I'm gonna give the Cowboys the benefit of the doubt. I know they're gonna lose, but I don't think it's this week. But sure enough, bro, in typical fashion, they showed up and they choked. And I know they kind of came back at the end, and people are bitching about the refs. But I hate to break it to you, it's never about the refs, bro. They were completely beat from the beginning of that game. The fact that they came back was just. It's
because of Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if you saw against it was Deebo Samuel had completely beat his guy, and he overthrew him by like 3 yards. It looked exactly like that Super Bowl throw that he missed to Emmanuel Sanders. Like it was almost like mirrored image of those two throws because that's just Jimmy G, man. He doesn't have that accuracy. He's gonna miss the big throws. All he really has to do is just go in there and be a game manager. He just has to not mess up, not throw picks. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, exactly. Long term, the 49ers will have another QB.
And they got Trey Lance in the wings waiting,
Right. So, yeah, Jimmy did his job this week. That's all I can really say, man. He showed up. He did his job. Nothing spectacular. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys choked as usual, and he was prepared enough to deal with a struggling Cowboys team to win, and that's all it took.
Yeah, and I think I'm not alone in saying this. The Cowboys are way too talented to be losing like this in the first round of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of problems going on there. Ezekiel Elliott, I think we mentioned it last week. Ezekiel Elliott is a shell of himself. Dak Prescott has been struggling the last part of this season. Since getting his $75 million guaranteed. Or it might be year by year. No, yeah,
bro.
75 million guaranteed. Like that's a lot of money. He was just guaranteed. Didn't step up and own it. So man, it's really big for that. But
I, just a couple more, like, because I want to hit on the Cardinals, but and I don't want to like be bitching about the Cowboys, but there's just so much to say. Specifically for them to like, I think with Dak is like we're kind of seeing the same, like we're seeing the same pattern. Like
mhm.
start the regular season, some explosive plays. He seems like one of the best quarterbacks, you know, and then by the end of the year, it's like, you know, we're disappointed again. I mean, I think even on this show, we were kind of rooting for him to step it up this year, coming back from the injury. So to me, it is a bit disappointing to see how it ended, and you know, he's kind of encouraging the fans to like, yeah, the refs were wrong, and that I just worry about, like, I don't feel like I thought his mindset was on different things rather than like the pettiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
thought the injury would have propelled him to like really be a true true competitor at the highest level. But I guess I'm still worried about that. And then for Ezekiel, bro, like when the Cowboys were debating to re-sign him, I got so much shit from Cowboys fans because I told them, I was like, I don't think it's worth it, bro. Like
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
like when is signing a running back to that money like worth it? You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
never.
never, bro. Like yeah, maybe you have some exceptions and they're good for a couple years, but they're never gonna play out that contract on the highest level. It just doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You take too
bro.
much damage. That's the
Exactly,
problem.
man.
You take way too
So
much damage as a running back.
way too much, bro. I have a couple things I want to say about the Cardinals game.
Yeah.
If you're ready to switch to that one.
I'll just say before we get out and move on, uh, to have the game end on a QB draw with 14 seconds left, I think is
Yeah,
horrible
man.
play calling.
Come on.
That to me probably messed up Kellen Moore's interviews. I bet a bunch of teams were like, we'll just scratch that out because he was one of the top candidates that people were going to interview. And
A
now,
lot of people, bro.
with that QB draw play, granted, Mike McCarthy is the head coach. The play caller is Kellen Moore. I think a lot of people, I think at least one team definitely crossed his name off their list after that. And then that resulting in the failed spike. Like it was just a bad look overall. And then fans throwing trash on the field at the refs, and Dak Prescott basically telling the fans like, yeah, like good job.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. However, he has put out an apology to the refs.
Yeah.
He did say that his words were uncalled for. So that's all I wanted. I just wanted him to step up and say, "Hey, I should have said that." But
Exactly.
because I'll never, in terms of like after the after game interviews, I'm pretty lenient and I'm pretty forgiving because that's a very emotional moment. You're
Yeah.
speaking from your feelings, so I completely, it's forgiven. You just do better next time.
That's all, bro. That last statement he says, like, do better. Like, if he takes the attitude of, you know what, we just got to do better next year, like, they'll be fine, bro. But like, you have to. That's what you have to think, man. Like,
You can't
guys
credit,
lost.
yeah, and you can't credit fans for throwing things at referees who, are not full time refs, guys. Like a lot of these guys
Yeah.
do this thing because they love the game. They become
They're
refs.
not.
I've heard that a lot of them are bankers. They just, they have good money. They just do this on the side, because they like it. They're not athletes, so that's why they're not fast. They're not coordinated, and they're also don't have it out for you guys, man. Like they don't just have it out for the Cowboys. I appreciated a lot of fans, stepping up and just saying like, and admitting that it was mostly like the play, even though, the refs did have not the greatest of games. But that the team definitely did not deserve to win that game. So
Yeah.
let's move on from that. Let's go ahead and go to the Cardinals Rams game. You say you got some thoughts, man. Go ahead and start it out for me.
Yeah, man. I just want to throw out some stats about Cliff Kingsbury and get your reaction.
Yes.
So yeah, man. There's two I want to say here. The first one is about Cliff Kingsbury and how he finishes each season, and then after that, there's a stat with related to Pat Mahomes. So, Cliff Kingsbury's into the season as a head coach, starting in Texas Tech when in 2013 lost 5 of 6, 2014 4 of 6, 2015 4 of 6, 2016 lost 6 of 8, 2017 lost 6 of 8, and 2018 lost 5 of 5. Now, as the Cardinals coach, 2019 lost 7 of 9, 2020 lost 5 of 7, and 2021 lost 5 of 6. So clearly a pattern here, man.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, from a team that went from everyone picking them as like a Super Bowl contender to that, not great.
Yeah, man. Cliff Kingsbury. Only thing I'll say is get Kyler Murray out of there. Like, poor Kyler Murray, man. I like Kyler Murray a lot. I do think his size is affecting his game, but I think the biggest problem in Arizona is Cliff Kingsbury. He shouldn't have been hired from the get-go. He didn't even have a winning record in college. I think he was like with Patrick Mahomes.
No, exactly.
With Patrick Mahomes, he was 15-19. Like,
that's the second stat that I wanted to tell you.
Okay. Yeah, like
so you already know where I'm going.
Yes, Patrick Mahomes. You have some people have called one of the most talented quarterbacks to come out of college, even passing Aaron Rodgers. And you won 15 and you went 15-19 with him at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is not a bad team, like, at all. They're usually a decent team. They're not great by any stretch of the imagination, but they're pretty good. Like, if Desmond Ridder can get Cincinnati to a college playoff game, you should be able to do that with Patrick Mahomes.
No, absolutely.
And unfortunately, Kyler Murray is not, as good as Patrick Mahomes, so he's gonna struggle. And he's not gonna be as good, obviously, with him. And if you went 15-19 with Patrick Mahomes, like, I'm only gonna assume that you're gonna have an even worse record with Kyler Murray. No hate on Kyler Murray, I love the guy, but. Nah, man. Like, it's just he's the problem there in Arizona.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, like, I just feel like the numbers speak for themselves, bro. Like, maybe you can't really even argue it's an anomaly or like, oh, it just happened since he's an NFL coach. I mean, bro, literally, this is every year since 2013, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we're talking about the same thing happening, So, like, what do they say? Definition of insanity is like believing something different will happen, right? So
yeah, doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Exactly, bro, dude. And Arizona's talented, bro. So yeah, man. I think, like, to be honest, he's on a shorter leash than most people think. Like, I think it's kind of like a 2-year thing, right? Like, next year will be next year. If they're mediocre again, that next year he's on the hot seat. Right? Like, he has to.
Yeah. I would even go as far to say if we're losing guys like Brian Flores after 3 years, coming off of a winning season, I think if they fail to make the playoffs, if it's not race related, Cliff Kingsbury should be fired. Like, I'll come out and say it.
Yeah,
like,
back to your original point.
The playoffs,
exactly.
He should be fired if he misses. I don't like calling for people's jobs, man, but if it's not working there's way too much talent over there. It's a Cowboys thing, right? You just don't have there's not as much spotlight being put on it, but you have Kyler Murray, a young up-and-coming quarterback, and he's going to be playing for a contract next year because most likely he's not going to get the extension this year. So he has the opportunity to play out his 4th year and possibly get that extension. So he's going to be playing for that money, trying to get some Dak Prescott money, right? And then you have D-Hop, you have Isaiah Simmons, you have Christian Kirk, James Conner. They just traded for Zach Ertz. Like, these are all like big names that should be doing a lot better than they are, but if Cliff Kingsbury can't get this team together, I think he will be gone next year, without a doubt.
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, if you think of his coaching record, it's like there's nothing really impressive about his coaching record. Like you say, like, in college he was basically 500. His NFL seasons have been 5-10, 8-8, and 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
When you add all those together, you're basically 500 again, right? Like, This is probably his best season, like, ever as a coach.
I think so.
Props to him for that. But that's where you draw the line, right? Like, okay, it was your best regular season as a head coach, and that's it, man. Like, there's nothing else to show for it, So,
yeah, and this season especially, it seems since he's been in the NFL, coaching in the NFL. Excuse me. He is having a hard time with those that last stretch of games that they just kind of fall off. Last year was a little bit not as bad because I don't think they had a great record to begin with, but they did fall off a little bit. This season started off extremely hot. They were the last undefeated team in the NFL, and they just completely fell off the face of the map. So he's going to have to get those. He's going to have to find a way to do it for an entire season, and that'll be something that everyone will be looking at. But congratulations to the Rams, man! I'm excited to see this game. But let's go ahead and get to the game. So we'll just go game by game, give our predictions, and see where we land for the championship games. First game, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. We have, the Bengals taking on the Titans in Tennessee. I'll go ahead and go first on this one. I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say I'm putting the Bengals. I've been going back and forth in my head.
Yeah.
But I think that now that I'm thinking about the defense on the Tennessee side, and the Bengals defense is a lot better than they were last year. So I'm gonna go with the upset here. I called an upset last week. I think I'm gonna have 2 on this week. So look forward to that. But I'm gonna go Bengals, man. I think that their offense is too high powered. The Titans don't have enough defense. They're gonna be high powered on offense too, but it's gonna come down to who can get that one stop, and I'll put more faith in the Bengals.
Bro, I actually love the pick, and that I wanted to take the Bengals as well. Bro, when it comes to I don't really feel like the Titans are the best team in the AFC. I know there's some people that feel that way, but I don't I honestly still think it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're the most dominant in the NFL. I just think they're kind of the best in the AFC. They had a rough stretch, but on the second half they're really good. So, I don't exactly think the Titans are the best team. I think the Bengals cut it close with the Raiders, so they're going to still have some urgency. And yeah, bro, I just something about this matchup. I'm just leaning more towards the Bengals. If you think about it too, I think their record is only a game apart, right? I think the Titans were 11-6 and the Bengals were 10-7. Do I have that right?
Let me see that real quick. The Bengals are 10-7, yeah, and the Titans were 12-5.
12-5. Okay, so 2-game difference. But still, I think it's a lot closer of talent wise. I think they're both kind of there. In some ways, I even think the Bengals have the better quarterback.
I agree.
Tannehill, but you know what I'm saying? So little things like that, I just think is going to push them over. And that's kind of why I'm leaning Bengals there.
Yeah, Joe Burr.
Bro, that guy's clutch, bro. I seen him. I saw him play the Longhorns in person, bro, and he's a hell of an athlete, man. So
a lot of people were. I think I had an argument one time with somebody saying that Joe Burrow was going to be kind of a bust, or he was going to be a mediocre quarterback, and I was like, nah, man, this guy's swaggy, bro. I don't know what it is about him, but he oozes charisma, and I think he won that team over that very first year. I think he, without a doubt, was like this is my team. He didn't walk in. Exactly. I don't think he went. He did he probably did the jailhouse thing. Went to the biggest guy and was like, "Look, this is my team," type thing.
I think he's everything that people want out of Baker Mayfield. He's actually that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Baker. That's an act he's putting on. He's trying to be that guy, and Joe is.
But he's not really that. Joe is that guy.
Dude. I don't know what it is, man. That dude is going to be a favorite of mine for a long time. Him and Jamar, I said last week, him and Jamar Chase are top 3 wide receiver duo. I think in the next 2 years, they'll be the best wide receiver quarterback duo in the NFL. I'll put it down. I'm putting it on the airwaves. It's on the internet forever. In 2 years' time, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase will be the best QB wide receiver duo in the NFL.
Love it, bro. I want to add one more thing. I just want to shout out to Coach Zach Taylor of the Bengals because, bro, how many years did we see the Bengals get bounced in game 1 of the playoffs?
That's true, man. That's true.
It was every single year, man. So, bro, I just want to give them a shout out for getting them over the hump, dude.
Can I say one thing, man, before we go on to the next game? And I know we're kind of stretching out. We're obviously Bengals fans, I think. Exactly. Next year, this will be the Orange and Black podcast. It's going to be all kinds of stuff. But there's something said during the broadcast where I told my girlfriend's cousin who made me feel old in Austin one time because we were doing Ling With It Rock With It at a bar, and her cousin thought me and Crystal made up a dance.
Oh,
and I was like, wait, what? We were both like, hold on, what? You think we're just out here making up dances to songs? Like no, that's the song. Like, I was like, oh my god, like I'm old.
damn.
And then
we came out here to make
Yeah.
a dance.
Yeah, what? So I heard during the podcast, and I brought it up to her. They said that this would be the first win for in the playoffs for the Bengals in 30 years. And hearing that, you're like, man, that's a long time. 30 years, that's a very long time. And they said the year. They said the year of the game of the last time. It was 1991.
Jeez,
and I was like, oh shit, I'm old. If I hear 30 if you hear 30 and you immediately think like, man, that's old, and then you realize it's only 2 years from your birth, that makes you feel pretty old.
Bro, like Marvin Lewis was 0-7 in the playoffs.
But he got there.
He got there all the time, but he just never could get. Bro, I remember one time, like, it was First Take, and like they were like, okay, what coach do you guys think is on the hot seat? And it
Every year.
It was like, probably it was like year 12 of Marvin Lewis's tenure.
They're like, it's gotta be, it's time.
And Stephen A's like, Marvin Lewis.
I remember that.
The guys were like, are we still doing this debate? Like, he's not gonna leave. And Stephen A was like, Marvin Lewis, I swear he don't know how to win. So yeah, bro. I don't know why I remember that, but yeah, man.
I remember that too, man. I remember that too. He was really calling. He was like, I don't hate the guy. Like, I love Marvin Lewis, but it's time.
Yeah,
like, it's enough
Classic.
times. Yeah, I agree, man. That was pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, look out for the Bengals podcast coming next year, guys.
Yeah.
They'll have more. We'll definitely have more to talk about than the Texans podcast probably would. All right, and then Saturday night, 7:15, we have the 49ers and the Packers. I am extremely excited for this game. It's a high-powered offense versus a high-powered defense. Like, it doesn't get better than that. I believe the last time they played, the 49ers actually won pretty handedly against against Aaron Rodgers. I think it was last year. So he's gonna be trying to get that win back. I'm going to take the Packers in this one for sure. Like, it's gonna be a hard fought game, but I think they'll probably win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, I kind of think, like, in some ways the Packers almost wanted like that Cowboys matchup, you know what I'm saying? Like, because going against Mike McCarthy, like, I feel like Aaron Rodgers would have just woke up ready for that, man. But yeah, like, I still think they'll beat the Niners, like, mainly just because one team has Aaron Rodgers and one has Garoppolo. So
exactly.
That's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually want to look at some odds. I'm kind of curious. I've been reading odds a lot more. So the Bengals are a plus 160 underdog, which is not bad. 49ers are a plus 205. And I'll tell you, if you have some money to spare, that's not a bad pick. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Maybe even possibly going the under, but it's minus 110, so it's not as much of a bring back. But if you want to put like half a unit, it's like my half a unit's like $10. Like, because I'll pour out a normal unit's like 20 for me. I'll put $10 on the 49ers for sure. But
yeah, man. Maybe hit me up when you're gonna do some big ones, and we can go in or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. All right, man. Let's go to the next game. We have Sunday afternoon, Rams Buccaneers, and with the loss of Tristan Wirfs, I'm gonna cash in another upset alert here.
Yeah,
I think the Rams upset the Buccaneers, man. This defense is built, and this is, I think, the thing that we're gonna see, like, brought up is defenses are coming back, man. It's going back to where you got to have a really, really great defense. Like, if 49ers get the upset and move on, it'll be because of their defense. Same thing with the Rams. I do, and thing is, they don't have Jared Goff. If they had Jared Goff, I'd probably be a little bit more,
Yep.
a little bit more worried. But Matthew Stafford's got that first playoff win under his wing, man. He's got that. He's finally got that monkey off of his back. He can go out there and just play the game. And I'm gonna take the Rams to upset the Bucs. Tom Brady looked a little shaky in the beginning of this game against Philly, even though they went up by 2 touchdowns very quickly. He did look shaky on some throws. He looked like he was not connecting with his receivers. He is missing Chris Godwin. There is no Antonio Brown. So there is going to be a huge emphasis on Rob Gronkowski and Mike Evans. And I think this team, Jalen Ramsey is going to lock down Mike Evans, like without a doubt. And if the linebackers for the Rams can just kind of slow Gronkowski down, in the middle of the field, I think they can get to Brady and frustrate him and win this game.
Bro, like me and you must be on some telekinesis or something this week.
Hey.
I'm going with the Rams too, bro. Like because of that, because the Bucs are missing a lot of pieces, and I think I talked about this like 2 weeks ago. Just for a team to repeat in the Super Bowl was like super unlikely. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely like a numbers guy. Like numbers don't lie, and it just feels like this is the matchup for the Patriots. Like the Patriots, for the Bucs. Like
Tom Brady.
I feel like this is like the worst case like matchup for them, man.
Yeah,
like,
I think so too.
I think the Rams probably have one of, if not the best defenses. And yeah, bro, like the only concern I had about the Rams was Matthew Stafford, like going into the playoffs, to be honest. Like I didn't know if he'd get rocked. Bro, the fact that they came out and just like dominated the Cardinals, like it instilled so much confidence in me. And in the beginning of the season, I honestly thought the Rams were like one of the best teams.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, man. Like I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the Rams in this one. I love Brady. I know he's gonna give his best effort. I just think the Rams have too many tools right now to lose this.
Yeah, I don't bet on Tom Brady anymore, whether it be for him or against him, because he's broke my heart both ways. I've put money on that. I think it was I didn't have money, but the Falcons. I thought that was a legit win. I was there in the stadium for that, and I saw the huge collapse.
Oh,
so I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, Brady, okay. Well, I was working it, so I felt the fans like, dude, it was crazy. The first half, all the Falcons jerseys are getting bought up, and then all of a sudden,
bandwagons at the
Super Bowl. Man. And then all of a sudden, man, people were just coming in and buying all the Patriots stuff. It was bad. It was horrible. But
good for Team Shop. They made a lot of money that day.
And then I bet 100 on Brady. I was like, I've always went against Brady for so many years. I'm gonna bet on Brady in 2017
against
the Eagles.
Oh, bro!
I put 100 on Brady with my boss at work, who was a huge Eagles fan, and it was just man, I just can't catch a break.
That was like the one anomaly year too, and if you think about Brady's Super Bowl runs, that was like the one that he just struggled with. It was like odd,
That's even his best performance in a Super Bowl. Like he broke the record for passing yards in a Super Bowl.
It just seemed like a grueling Super Bowl. I remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember it exactly. So yeah, that's surprising to hear.
That's one that I know Brady has kind of kept in his head from since day one. He said that's. I think he even said that was the one. And this is a guy talking about who talks about who has to also talk about the 2 Giants losses, the helmet catch, right? He lost to the helmet catch, but even he thinks this is his worst one. Like this is the one that he says eats at him, and probably will forever. But yeah, they are the Rams are a plus 130 underdog. I probably wouldn't put money on it. That one's kind of tough. I wouldn't. Like I said, I would probably stay away from this game because anything can happen. You just don't know. But let's go ahead and go to the last game. 5:30 p.m. We have the Bills and the Chiefs. This one, I would put money on if you had some extra money. If you want to upset. Because I'm not picking them, but the Bills are a plus 115 underdog, and they could definitely pull it out. And I would probably even go with the over if you want to put some money on that too, because the over is 55 points. I think they're going to pass up 55 points. overall.
Yeah.
I think both teams are gonna score pretty well, but I wouldn't doubt. I'm not saying it's impossible for the Bills to win. I think Josh Allen has the chance, but I'm not a believer in Josh Allen in the big moments yet. I think he falls apart when it comes down to having to make that throw. And the Chiefs defense has really improved, and Patrick Mahomes has learned to take his time and not force any throws. I'm gonna go Patrick Mahomes on this one. I'm gonna take the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, same here. I just think like the playoff experience of Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs is like, the Bills aren't on that level yet. It just kind of reminds me of like when like the Clippers were like trying to chase the Warriors all those years, and like the Warriors were still like beating up on them. Yeah, man. I mean, I just like you said, I haven't seen it. I know the Bills have beat the Chiefs in the regular season, but that's all it is to me still. So, especially because the game is also going to be in Arrowhead.
In
right?
Arrowhead, yeah. Well, both games were in Arrowhead. I believe that the first game they played against them was in Arrowhead, so they know they can go there. But like you said, like that was like towards the end of that really bad stretch of games.
That bad stretch, yeah.
And I think since then, Mahomes, he's not even though he does it every now and then, he does still do those crazy across the body throws or little things. But I think he's done a lot better job of like working on his patience and even working on his willingness to throw the ball away. I think he realizes like I don't have to score every play. I think the best thing that could have happened for the Chiefs was that stretch of games and to get knocked on their ass, because last thing you want is for that to happen in the playoffs. You want that to happen early, and I think that did, and I think that's gonna make that probably made them better than they were last year. So, yeah, man, I'm gonna go Chiefs. You're gonna go Chiefs. We're pretty even across the board, man. It looks pretty good. Looks like I'm excited for the championship games. We'll give our predictions week by week. I don't want to give away everything right away. So check back next week, and you'll have our predictions for the conference championships games, and you will have you can check back next week when we talk about how this week for the Rockets went. We have two really tough games, and just come to see if we liked what we saw or if we didn't. But let's go ahead and get the hell out of here. You can find me on Twitter again at AlecMiller0423. Make sure that you like this video, share this video to your friends, and make sure that any Rockets fan is joining this podcast, because we're going in depth next week again. And it'll happen. Thank you to Alexis again, man. Thank you. Great knowledge. We appreciate it. It's nice to know that we can do something with this useless, I like to call it useless information that's in our heads. So yeah, man. You want to go ahead and plug your stuff, man? We'll get out of here.
Yeah, man. Catch me on Twitter at Podcast Paul. Give me a follow. You can also catch me on the gram at PO Trinidad. Yeah, man. Like it's a great time of year for the NFL playoffs. So if you guys want to chop it up with us during the week, shoot us a message. Leave us a comment. We're average people. We're happy to get back to you and tell you what we think about things.
Absolutely, guys. So we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace.